This is the Middletown Psychiatric Center, located in Orange County, New York, where I used to live. The Psychiatric Center was founded in 1874 and closed its doors for the last time in 2006. I always wondered, what kind of care did the patients receive there? Because when this facility shut down, it didn't relocate many of its patients. It didn't find new accommodations or facilities for them to go to. It just literally dumped many of them out on the streets. People young and old with severe mental illnesses, with no family, no friends, no place to go. Literally alone, abandoned, and homeless in the streets of Middletown, New York. The explanation for this horrible act was there's nowhere else for them to go. We had no choice. After witnessing such a heartless act, I often wondered, what kind of care did the patients receive in this facility back in its heyday? My guesstimation was that if you could go back in time and be a fly on the wall, you would probably witness things that were like scenes straight out of a horror movie. And some of the stories that surfaced after the psychiatric center shut down confirmed this suspicion in my mind. Things went on there that probably shouldn't have, because it didn't take long after the center shut down that it became one of New York State's paranormal hotspots. If there was a paranormal investigative team within 100 miles of the psychiatric center, you can bet they went there and set up shop. It was said that the energy in this building was dark and heavy, and many spirits wandered its abandoned halls. I, for one, never visited the abandoned psychiatric center to do any kind of paranormal investigation work. I always wanted to, but it seemed I could never find the time. I did, however, visit another building that was closely related to the psychiatric center. It was an old barn across the road. The psychiatric center rented this barn and used it for storage for many years. To get to the barn, you had to park on the side of the road, walk down a dirt path, jump over a metal gate, walk further down the dirt path, and you eventually came to this sprawling field with this gigantic barn right in the middle of it. I mean, this barn was huge and ominous, and it had this gigantic silo right next to it. I visited this barn several times in the mid and latter 1980s, and the things I heard there were both hair-raising and heartbreaking. It confirmed in my mind that things went on in the Middletown Psychiatric Center that were probably not good, and tormented spirits walked the halls of any place that was even remotely related to this building. I invite you now to walk with me through the decrepit halls of the Middletown Psychiatric Center as I tell you the tale of somethings in the barn. The old barn was dark and foreboding, cluttered with material from the psychiatric center, old books, magazines, radios, medical equipment, you name it. The first time I ever visited the old barn, I went with a group of friends. We were looking for abandoned places to explore and happened to see it from the road. We went at nighttime and we could barely see our hands in front of our faces. We didn't have any flashlights, so we just prowled around in the darkness. We heard footsteps, whispers, banging, items being dropped on the floor behind us, but no one was there. It was definitely a spooky experience, and so several months later, we decided to go back to the old barn a second time, but this time, we brought flashlights. On our second outing, me and my friend Mike found this small room in the barn. Inside was a paint easel and old clothes and rags just thrown in piles everywhere. We stood there shining our lights around, wondering, what is this mess? When suddenly something rose up out of the corner of the room and headed straight for us. Me and Mike looked at each other simultaneously and said, "Do you feel that?" We didn't stick around to see what it was, who it was, or what it wanted. We just turned and got the hell out of there. At that moment, we decided maybe it's best to leave the barn because the whole atmosphere turned very menacing, like something didn't want us there. But on our way out, we passed the entrance to the silo, which was a hatch cut into the ceiling with some planks nailed to the wall into a makeshift ladder leading up into the hatch. So as we walked by, we heard someone up in the silo moaning like they were in distress. We thought, oh my God, is there someone from the psychiatric center up there? So we called up into the silo, "Are you okay? Is anyone there? Do you need us to get the police? Do you need us to call an ambulance?" No answer. So me and Mike went up the little makeshift ladder, shone our lights into the silo, but no one was there. It wasn't until about a year later that we returned to the old barn. I was hanging out with my friend Mike and his girlfriend, and we were telling her about the strange occurrences at the barn, and she wanted to go see it. So we took her. It was an October night, misty sheets of rain, dark clouds in the sky. We walked down the old dirt road that led to the barn, hopped the iron gate, started making our way toward the barn, when suddenly out of the silo shot this blue light. It looked like a spotlight that went up into the clouds and started zigzagging toward us, like chain lightning. My friend Mike looked at it and said, "What the hell is that? It's heading right toward us. We better get out of here." So we turned, we ran, we jumped the fence. But as we looked back, just as the zigzagging light hit where the fence was, it started going backwards in the same zigzagging motion and then retracted down back into the silo like a retracting spotlight. It was definitely spooky at the time, but the more I think about it in later years, the more I'm convinced that someone did pass away in that silo. I didn't know a whole lot about helping spirits cross to the other side at that particular time, but I wish that I did, because I think that light and the moaning was someone trying to get our attention, someone asking for help. I can only hope that whoever it was eventually found their way into the light and that they now rest in peace.